This video is brought to you by Law Excellence IAS Academy.
Dear students, good morning. Welcome to Daily Editorial Enrichment program. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 7th May 2019. The first article, the Supreme Court belongs to everyone, a miscarriage of justice. These two are related to charges of sexual assault on Chief Justice of India. So, in this article, we will explore two important things: the principles of natural justice, credibility of the Supreme Court. So, there is a popular dictum: justice not only be done, it needs to be seen to be done. It means that the procedural fairness ensures the credibility of the justice delivery system, confidence of the people, legitimacy of the judiciary. So, in this context, in the present case, how it started, Chief Justice of India was part of the bench which initially constituted, and then next a separate bench was constituted with three judges as members of that particular committee, and the woman was asked to come and give a statement before them, and Chief Justice of India was also requested to give a statement before them. Finally, the Bode panel has adjudged that the case is false, and it is closed for further examination. So in this context here, both the authors argue the Supreme Court did not handle the case fairly. So remember, law is king, that is lex rex, not king is law. And if any person is powerful, the law is much powerful above him. So in this scenario, the law, sexual offences or sexual harassment at workplace law, this has not been properly adhered to, and the summarily dismissal of the complaint is not in accordance with the principles of natural justice. Now, in this case, in the first part of the article, they have explained what is the entire case is about, which we need not go into the detail. Let's go to the second part. The Supreme Court, in various judgments, it has clearly stated certain doctrines, and it has violated those doctrines in this case. That is, what is the argument by Dushyant Dave? The first is in Volga Tillis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation case. The Supreme Court has stated the importance of procedural safeguards, and it stated the procedural safeguards are essential to ensure fairness in justice delivery. So these procedural safeguards are blatantly violated in this particular case. And the next is Uma Shankar Sistani versus Commissioner of Police. So the Supreme Court has directed the CBI, an outside agency, to investigate the claims of the false complaint. Here the court took the responsibility to itself. And the third thing is the doctrine of proportionality. It was put forward in Ranjit Thakur versus Union of India case. The proportionality, it means whatever the punishment which was given to a person shall be proportional to the act which he has committed. In this particular case, the woman was dismissed from the job, and this woman, whatever the treatment she got is disproportionate to what she has done. So in this context, the doctrine of proportionality is also blatantly violated. So finally, the says the conscience of the Supreme Court is reflected in the conscience of the judges. So the judiciary and the lords have to stand towards protecting the fairness of the justice and fairness of the system. How could it have been protected? A amicus curiae could be appointed, a friend of court could have been appointed, an outsider could have investigated the case. In that way, the things could have been much better. So remember again, the legitimacy of the institutions in a democracy depends upon public trust on them. The public trust comes from the fairness of the procedures which they adopt. The principles of the natural justice are essential for this fairness of justice. When they are violated, the institution Supreme Court comes into crisis. This is what my point is. Next is posers on the code. The Election Commission must act tough. These two articles, these are related to the Election Commission and its way of functioning. So Election Commission, also a democratic institution, shall work fairly and also shall create a level playing field across various political parties. If election commission is unfair, then it becomes or the institution becomes a bane for the entire democracy. So, if you remember Article 329, it prohibits the interference of the courts after the process of elections have started. In spite of that, the Supreme Court has intervened and asked the Election Commission to take action on hate speeches. And the second thing is, the Election Commission of India itself has stated it do not have sufficient powers. But Article 324 under this to provide for fair elections, Election Commission of India can take any action necessary. Mr. Seshan, as Chief Election Commissioner, has proved it many a times. So, in this context, the author talks about vulnerabilities of the Election Commission. The first is the appointment. So the election commissioners, chief election commissioner and other election commissioners are appointed by the government of the day, that is, on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers to the President of India. So it means the political party in power can have more advantage. It can create obligation on the CEC and other election commissioners to help herself. And the second, how can it be handled? So, a collegium system is recommended by Tarakunde Committee, Law Commission. Second is an election commissioner has to become the chief election commissioner, as like a senior most of the judge becomes the chief justice of India. But this procedure is not constitutionally guaranteed. So, an election commissioner can or may not become the chief election commissioner. So there is procedurally a challenge in this particular scenario. So the CEC shall be made from the existing election commissioners and this has to be constitutionally provided. Third, with regard to the removal of the election commissioners, there is no fair practice. Only chief election commissioner can be removed like the judge of the Supreme Court. The same protection do not exist with regard to other election commissioners. Appointment, promotion, and removal from the office. If these are being made more tight, or if these are more tightened, the election commission can protect its independence, can act without any bias. That's what is the author's recommendations over here are. Conservation minus the people. So, this article talks about the approach to conservation. Broadly, there are two approaches, exclusive and inclusive approach. Exclusive approach, it means the community is not seen as the part of the conservation exercise. Inclusive approach, it means community is seen as the part of this conservation approach. So, in this case, initially from the times of the Britishers, what we had in our mind was exclusive approach. In this, Indian Forest Act, Wildlife Protection Act, Indian Forest Act 1927, Wildlife Protection Act 1972 are an important examples. But slowly, the entire international environment, IUCN World Conservation Strategy, Conservation on or Convention on Biodiversity, all these have moved towards inclusive strategy. So today, communities are seen as a part of total inclusion. So, National Forest Policy 1988, Conservation Strategy 1992, Environmental Policy 2006, all these also have emphasized on the inclusive approach as like the IUCN and Convention on Biodiversity guidelines. It means at the policy level, we moved from exclusivist to inclusivist approach. So inclusivist approach essentially mean the local communities shall be seen as the partners to conservation. But now, Indian Forest Act is meant to be amended. And also Forest Rights Act, it has made or gave the ownership on the community produce and also land rights to the community protection. All these are being given to the local communities. So there is a dilution of the Indian Forest Act and also Forest Rights Act. So more exclusivist approach they are talking about. In this what they are saying, the bureaucracy was given all power to conserve. It means more than the communities, bureaucracy can take the better conservation exercise. That is what is the approach of the government. They are being given power to use the weapons and power to search and arrest without warrant. All these powers are being given to the forest bureaucracy now under the Indian Forest Act amendment. So this is a backward step according to the authors. So we are moving from inclusivist to exclusivist approach again. So there is a dichotomy of intent and action. So dichotomy of intent means, so by policy intent we want to have an inclusive conservative conservation approach, but we are finally bringing in exclusivist approach. This is how it is being spoken about. Deserved penalty. So, National Stock Exchange, again, it is also about fairness of the procedure. So, this is a marketplace where shares are being bought and sold. So, if any person has a prior information, obviously he can have a better advantage in the entire process. Here, the National Stock Exchange information was leaked from secondary data server, and few people has unduly benefited from it, and it is seen as a systemic failure of the NSE. So, in this context, the SEBI has imposed 1,000 crore penalty on NSE. So, if NSE such kind of breaches are exposed, the small investors they lose confidence on the entire system. So, this punishment is rightful as it instills the confidence of the small investors into the system. That's what is this article is speaking about. So, this is different from insider trading. Insider trading means the company's person giving some tip offs to the traders so that they can buy those shares and become advantageous of the information. That is one thing. On the other side, what we have here is the data leakage from the very servers of the exchange itself. Exchanges are the marketplaces, and these marketplaces can survive when the investors and traders they have the confidence of fairness in the system. Today, all the editorial articles they are talking about the trust of the people, trust of the investors, confidence of the process, confidence of the people in the process, and fairness in the process, either it is election commission, judiciary, or NSE. So remember this point. Either it is political system or working of the economic system, it depends upon the institutions, and institutions have to be fair for everyone. If these principles of the fairness and level playing field are violated, obviously these institutions are not expected to survive. This is the take home point for today. And finally, thank you much and all the best. Have a good day.